There's a thin line between heroism and madness.
Here the line fades to nothing at all. This is a world of capes and lunatics.
And nothing is off limits.
All right, I can't wait. We're breaking it now. All right, everyone. Welcome to Capes and Lunatics, episode 10. It's our San Diego Comic-Con 2017 preview, update, get into it. A little different this week. It's me, Phil. I'm here. We got Charlie, the Professor Esser.
What?
Tyler's here. I'm sure you hear it. But our on Lilith is in the Comic-Con, but have no word. I don't know if she drank too much of the apple juice last night, but
there is a 3-hour difference.
We do have her hand. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I thought I'd get a message last night. But we do have her hand replacement. Fans of Before the Bat will be glad to know that Kelly's here this morning.
Hey!
Yeah, we're getting some puns. Yeah.
Woohoo! Well, you know, Lilith, quite frankly, has probably been in line for a panel for probably 2 hours now. Seriously.
Oh,
I would get up
it's not 2 hours, almost more.
Yeah, I would have been up at about
2
or 3 a.m. So, in her defense, that's probably where she is. And the cell reception is awful there.
I wonder if
that's when she went to bed.
I wonder if they have like remote tower set up and stuff.
They tried, but there's just so many people there. You just can't. I mean, it's awful. I went in 2011. Started doing it at 40. 3 hours of sleep a night, and I couldn't get a signal out in any of the buildings at all. And I was lucky too if I went outside. It's just there's thousands and thousands of people. Too much RF in one space.
Well, like I know, like here when we have Ohio State games, like Verizon has portable towers and stuff. They'll go and they'll set up all around downtown Columbus when there's big events to help boost signals and stuff. Yeah,
they do that here too, but you get a Michigan State game, even if they do that, you can hardly get. It's just too many signals at once. They can't deal with it. There's times where there'll be big events like
I think the last
marathons and stuff. They'll bring in ham radio operators because phones don't work.
Yeah, I think the last comic book convention I went to was in the 80s. Detroit Comic
Now I don't feel so old.
Back when it was cool.
You had to get in Jim Shooter's face.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to WizardCon here soon.
Oh, that's right. You got a meet and greet, right? Tell them who you got a meet and greet with.
Yep, I want to meet and greet with Kate Beckinsale.
Ooh. Hey. Who's that?
The actress from Underworld.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, woohoo!
The Comic-Con here is tiny.
They totally stole the plotline of Underworld from White Wolf. World of Darkness games, but but you can't copyright an idea like that. Apparently, the idea of vampires versus werewolves cannot be copyrighted. So,
you mean Twilight?
How obviously you rip it off.
They all stole from Bram Stoker.
Well, Bram Stoker never had werewolves versus vampires. Okay. Formal means proper, and usually it formal means the way that things are supposed to be done.
So any type of way that you want.
Like this is not a formal podcast.
Yeah, this is clearly
we have kids.
Their grandfather was supposed to pick them up by now, but he's obviously he's probably going to text my wife at the nail salon, and then she has to text. Knows I'm here. She never texts me. So.
I'm with you, bro.
All right. Let's jump into some news.
Okay.
All right. Special guest Kelly, did you see anything in San Diego so far that piqued your interest?
Some amazing cosplay. First of all, wow!
Oh, always.
Every year, but people go out and top themselves, and that's part of the fun. Of course, gotta love the merch. I always go crazy over, all the figurines, the statues, and everything. So this year, of course, I'm watching all the coverage. People are tweeting and live casting from Comic-Con, so all the collectibles and everything, and wow. And I gotta get me a little Love Good Pop, because they're adorable.
Oh, yeah.
I think the biggest piece of news for me this week was the craziness in the Doctor Who fandom.
Oh, yeah, the female doctor, yeah.
People are just absolutely losing their mind.
Yeah, I was a little worried that they were saying that her costume was going to be just a black hoodie, and someone pointed out that Capaldi was wearing a black hoodie, but he was wearing also, I think it was Pertwee's jacket over the hoodie, and so he had a little bit of a stylistic throwback. Honestly, I felt that Capaldi had not nearly enough flair in his dress as a doctor to start with, and. One second. But apparently, I'm just saying, I want a doctor with fancy hats, colorful scarves, and lace sleeves again, just like we had with all those guys back in the 80s and 70s and 60s. 1 second.
I think that...
the doctor was style.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I think, too, that, the hoodie, it was just a plot device. Because they had to obscure their identity, for the reveal.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people are losing their minds because it's a woman, which I find hilarious. But I understand.
It just always amazes me. Like, I haven't really watched Doctor Who, but it always amazes me that, all these fans can buy this guy who's, an alien who regenerates, time travels, all this, but we can't buy that, that he would regenerate as a woman. It's like,
well, they've already done it. They've already done it 4 times, but not as the Doctor. Other people, like other Time Lords, have regenerated into women, but not specifically the Doctor. So,
well, then it's in the canon. Why are people fighting it?
Right. Well, I think a lot
people
of
are stupid.
A lot of it's tradition. A lot of it is, think about it. Think about how invested people are into even like Arrow or The Flash on TV. They've only seen it how many seasons? Doctor Who's been going for over 50 years. That's
look, I'm going to throw this out there, okay? I got you beat. Jimmy Olsen. Always been a redheaded white dude. I'm completely cool with Makad Brooks on Supergirl as Jimmy Olsen.
I think he's great.
Does a good job. Good job in interpretation. I'm not fighting it. I'm rolling with it. It's all good. That's been on a lot longer than Doctor Who. So suck it, people.
It's just been, I think a lot of people didn't like her acting in Broadchurch. Okay, I can understand that. Maybe you're not hip with that specific actress. That I can understand. But
yeah, I'll say that I can get. Like if you're just like, oh man, I don't like this actress, but just she's a woman. No, man, that's not cool.
Right, exactly.
But you were talking about Jimmy Olsen, Tyler. That reminds me, I was going to message you. We got to figure for the next few years. We have to figure out some big specials because next year's Superman's 80th anniversary. The year after is Batman's 80th anniversary, and then 2020 is Dick Grayson's 80th.
What I'm thinking about for next year, one thing I'm going to do is because not only is it Superman's 80th, it's the 40th anniversary of the Chris Reeves film.
Oh yeah!
So I'm gonna review Superman 1.
Just do them all,
and I'm gonna review what do you call it? Action Comics #1.
Oh yeah!
So that's so far what I have planned for next. I've been tinkering with for next year for Superman's 80th.
Yeah, we should do all the Christopher Reeve because we were talking about doing 3 because for some reason Charlie likes that movie. I guess.
Hey,
it has its good points. It has some good points. Like I like the fight in the junkyard, between Clark Kent and Superman, and I don't know, drunk Superman is kind of
it's funny
for a minute or two. Yeah.
I will say, Okay, so we're talking Superman now at Comic-Con. Notes that they for Krypton.
Oh yeah.
And I watched this 20-second teaser, okay? But what's funny is I scoured the internet yesterday to find the leaked trailer that they had done that leaked like a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is if you watch it, the leaked trailer says Krypton 2007, but the new teaser from Comic-Con says Krypton 2018. Or I'm sorry, 2017. Now it says 2018. I'm just like, man, like maybe that's why they pulled it, you know? And was because they were like, we can't get this ready in time. But it's just amazing to me how long it's taken this to turn around.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. What, they couldn't get it ready for this year? This has only been in the works. What, Krypton's been since 3 years? They announced it when we started, when Gotham started.
Yeah. I mean, they announced it shortly after Man of Steel. It's like, oh, the Man of Steel prequel series, Krypton. And I was like, okay. And then, I mean, when Krypton Report was founded, we named it that because it was going to be about Supergirl and Krypton and all things Superman. But we never got our Krypton show. So that's something we got to, that'll be phased into it. And
someone must have had some kryptonite.
What are your thoughts on that show? Like Janine and I have talked about it. What do you guys think about the idea of Krypton as a show?
I'm worried. I don't know. I just have a thing with prequels all the time, but it's like, is it going to be able to hold people's interest? Like, I mean, Tyler, you're the ultimate Superman fan. I mean, are you going to be interested week in, week out with Superman's grandfather and Zod's grandmother? And I mean, and they're on Krypton. They're under that red sun, so they're not even going to have powers.
Exactly.
I mean, future tech, but they're not going to have powers.
It's going to be like, what's going to differentiate it from any other sci-fi show?
Well, I guess, like Gotham, you're probably going to see the origins of certain things. So you'll see the Brainiac Mark I, it's like, I have this great idea for a thinking computer called the Brainiac, and
please
nothing can possibly go wrong with this idea.
It'll be like their Alexa, and then it goes bad. It comes like Skynet. Yeah.
Exactly. Comes self-aware. The Eradicator, you can get a lot in there, but for me, I'm always more interested if they're going to go into the science of Kryptonian physiognomy. That would be cool,
It could be cool if in this series, because it is the prequel of the established, if it deals with why they go to artificial ways of reproducing. The artificial population control, if that's one of the issues in this is, and maybe like Jor-El is one of the first artificially born babies, since it, something like that, because that was like a theme, something where if you've seen Man of Steel, that at least kind of ties into it more, and you're like, oh, okay.
Well, didn't they say it's kind of like an unofficial prequel to Man of Steel, because I mean they have those Kryptonian keys and stuff, and
I'm not sure, because originally it was supposed to be just a straight up prequel series, like a tied in, but because of how long it's been in development and all the changes with the DCEU and all that, I'm just kind of. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, do you think that maybe what it is that, and I think this might be their issue, is that when they started it was a Snyderverse. They had this idea of what it was going to be, and then since then, everything has been shifting underneath it. You have the rise of the Arrowverse and the Supergirl verse basically the shared CW multiverse becoming a dominant theme within the within Warner DC's media arm. And then you have the arrival of Jenkins and her Wonder Woman, which we talked about last night on Super Connectivity, where I described why Wonder Woman is actually your first Superman film.
I mean, what's funny is everybody who looks to the original Donner Superman film for inspiration makes a great film. Jenkins said that she looked to that movie for inspiration. Nolan said that when he did Batman Begins.
Yeah. Well, because what I said about it is that it's about a guy, it's about a person who comes from sort of a utopic kind of world, that middle America, hard work and prosperity kind of idea, and the goodness of humanity being drilled into them. Then they come to a world that is not that, and Superman Spacey comes to Metropolis filled with slumlords and criminals and gangs, and in Wonder Woman's case, she goes to the no man's land of World War I, and they come see all that darkness, but then they come out of it and they still maintain their optimism and their positivity about the goodness of humanity. And that, I think, is that's the Superman story arc. I think they captured that nicely in Wonder Woman, and I think that's this other aspect of it. The other problem with doing a Krypton story is, we know how it ends. And it ends poorly. And we know that it ends in a way that is the hubris of the Kryptonians in not listening to Jor-El. And I think that's a hard story to tell, By going a generation removed from Jor-El, at least you can have that. But you're going to have the planet is self-destructing deniers,
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have a nice little global warming parallel there between the science isn't in and whether or not our planet is exploding or not.
Well, see, that's my really big problem. Well, like I said, with prequels, what happens. I mean, Gotham's one thing, but Krypton, I mean, you really know what happens. Everyone dies except for 2 Kryptonians.
Yeah. Well, and all their criminals, because they decided to send all their criminals to the Phantom Zone. What's a probable thing is probably, if they're going to go to the artificial birthing, it probably is because there is an issue with overpopulation of Krypton, because this is a hyper-advanced society that for some reason still hasn't mastered space travel. It's like, yes, we're a hyper-advanced society, but no reason to go off the planet. What's out there,
They just run into Vulcans.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like, in Man of Steel talked about when they were exploring space, they overextended their resources and they hadn't figured out how to really be self-sufficient on other planets. Yeah. So that could be something about the space show. I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to give it a shot.
If
I told you they're gonna go all comics. The Eradicator's gonna bond them to the planets. They can't leave. They'll die if they leave.
See, now that would be cool if something about being artificially population. That's how the Eradicator accomplishes that.
Yeah.
So.
It
science.
Seems to me it seems to me like that this over reliance on technology is a constant theme with the Kryptonians and their undoing.
Yes.
Whether it is,
mm-hmm.
in various, and so I think that's going to be where you're going to have. So right there, you have a great conflict. You have and in fact, what could be a very interesting concept is you have, if that maybe what you're looking, and again, it's this thing that here's your problem is it's a comic book series that isn't going to be particularly comic book. Because it's going to be a sci-fi series, and it might be very interesting, but unless you're going to have interactions with the Green Lantern Corps, how much DC stuff are you going to have there? How much you're going to have there, except for very specific things to the Kryptonian world.
Exactly.
And then it's sort of just a sci-fi Game of Thrones, which might be interesting. Yeah, but might be great.
Yeah, but I mean, even with Wonder Woman, that was a period piece. So how much DC interaction did you have there?
Well,
you still got the main character. Nobody cares or knows anything about Superman's grandpa without powers. Wonder Woman was true. Wonder Woman.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can do it with just and in Wonder Woman you had all of Wonder Woman's supporting cast. You had Steve Trevor. You had some other characters. You had Etta Candy. You had Ares, God of War, with a crazy mustache. Gotta love it. He didn't look that Greek though, but we'll go along with it.
He was a god. They can look however they want.
Well, yeah,
I wish they had
played more with that, with regard to that, instead of having him look exactly like the same guy in the past.
Exactly. I had suspected that he would change his form when he went, but
Oh,
All right. So here's something for my two Marvel pals here. Did you see that Iron Fist has officially got a second season?
Yes. Yes.
No, I didn't hate the show.
I didn't either. I just felt like they spent more time in areas they shouldn't have. I feel like they spent more time with the Meachums and less time developing Danny, especially with Kunlun. Like we should have gotten some sort of more.
Too many board meetings, and what are we going to do about Danny?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know what I have said about this is I honestly think one of the problems that happened to Iron Fist was they decided last minute to greenlight Punisher, and so they had to cut Danny's budget. So I think most of the problem with the first Iron Fist was budgetary. I think that you didn't get as good, because here's the thing. I think that when you cut a budget, the biggest thing that you cut, and it's things you never think about, which is multiple takes. Yes. And you can't do multiple takes. Not only does your acting and story suffer, but also your stunts suffer. These things, they take a lot. There's a very, even if you're not doing, a CGI character, all those times that you want to do a scene to get it just right, that takes money and time. And unfortunately for Iron Fist, they cut it in half because they decided to greenlight the Punisher. And where do you get the where do you get the cash from? You have to take it from Danny Rand.
But speaking of Iron Fist, you mentioned it last night, Charlie, about that Stan Lee trailer for the Defenders, and I guess they were showing they showed some stuff with the Punisher. So
they released a full-on second Defenders trailer last night? Did you guys see it?
Mm-hmm. I can't wait for that. No, I didn't watch it, but it's coming in a couple weeks here in August. I cannot wait. And I think they said Punisher's end of this year. I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Defenders, and honestly, I think what it is that I think Danny's story is going to get fleshed out in the Defenders, which is what they said. So I think by the time we get to season 2 of Iron Fist, it's going to be a pretty solid game. And the fact of the matter is that Netflix knows if Iron Fist had the eyeballs, and the fact of the matter is that if they had the eyeballs, doesn't matter what the critics say, so long as they get the eyeballs, And like I said, I think.
Oh, sorry. I think it said that Iron Fist got the numbers. I mean, they did get some criticism, but the numbers were there.
Yeah. So that's where we're at. I'm glad it got a second season. I think there's a lot of story to still tell.
I agree. Like I'm very excited for the second season, just because there is, I feel, so much more to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's broken, buddy. We can't fix it.
Fix it.
And Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. I think they're all both getting season 2s.
Yes.
I can't wait. I want to hear Charlie Esther talking about giant turkeys.
Oh yeah, man, giant turkeys. Yeah. Welcome to the Cage Cast. Yeah, I gotta finish Daredevil season 2 before Defenders starts. I've been neglecting my now that I no longer have time sensitive podcasts. I don't I'm not as on the ball with it, Although it's been nice actually having time to breathe. So
no.
Mm-hmm. But speaking of Iron Fist, they also mentioned that I guess Marvel's doing a bunch of Comixology exclusive digital first series. First is friend of the show Corey Andrews and his Iron Fist book, where Danny Rand's training the next Iron Fist. It's a teenage girl.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is this Iron Fist 2099 or a different Iron Fist?
It's Iron Fist plural.
Oh.
Yeah, the last Corey Andrews book he wrote for Iron Fist, she was in it. So yeah.
Okay, so this is our current.
It's already been established.
Okay, because he was looking for a student in Deadpool 2099. So that would be cool. I'd love to see.
That's a possible future.
It's a possible future. Yeah, well, apparently all of his previous students have died. Well, you know, you got to get someone that can take on, you know, Charlotte the Undying, and you know, that's a good way to get yourself turned into Dragon Steak, you know. Or steak.
Sounds like they need to test their iron more.
There you go. Oh, so one thing that was exciting that I think this came out of Comic-Con that Phil just sent me. Spoilers. Apparently, Steve Rogers, Captain. Well, okay. This is your subtle reading now. They have Captain America back in his original costume. And it's written by Mark Waid.
Yes.
Because they're going back to, let's find, let's, you know, they didn't like the change. Let's go back to what it once was.
Hey, it worked for DC.
Yeah, well, yeah. And that's good. It will be interesting, you know. Well, one thing I noticed is they said that it's Steve. I said, wait. You know, there's more than one Steve Rogers in the Marvel universe, you know.
Don't overthink it, Charlie. So I think we kind of know how Secret Empire ends.
Yeah, well, obviously, yeah, well, yeah. Same with you know, all the previous, you know, when the Red Skull, you know, got back into Steve's brain after he was lost in time, you know, and Steve had to fight him on the psychic plane, which we're redoing again now, except now there's a cosmic cube inside the psychic plane, which is where Kobik is hiding, by the way. Now we know that. Now where Steve and the Red Skull are, that's where Kobik is, because they mentioned the goddess by the river, and we saw Selvig last week in Secret Empire. So yes, the whole gang is back. These are all of Kobik's best friends.
And of course, it's a legacy book, so it's going back to the original numbering. Mark Waid starts on 695, so you know, of course, we're gonna get that 700 book, which is gonna be thick and a ton of cost a ton of money.
Did you guys see Chris Evans' takeover of the comic book shop he did this week? Where he put the escape room in the back of the comic book shop and like freaked people out for charity. It was great.
Was that new? I thought I've seen that before.
I had not seen that, and it just showed up across my timeline this week, but it was hilarious.
Very cool.
Yeah, I saw that this week, but I thought I saw it before.
I don't know if Marvel just hires really nice guys or if Disney requires that all of their stars do adequate charity work. Because they do seem to all do a lot of charity work, a lot of visiting kids in hospitals and stuff. And it could be that they just always hire really nice guys, but I think
they did that before Disney too, before they got acquired. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe. Yeah. So maybe Marvel's publicity department requires it. I don't know. Maybe they just hire really nice guys. And you know, it could just be one of these things that you hire one really nice guy, then he starts guilting everybody else into doing it too. You know.
There you go.
And it's like, oh, gee, you know, Chris Hemsworth, you don't want to go visit sick kids in the hospital? Are you a joke?
That's okay. We'll get Loki.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. just talked.
That's the ultimate way to kill him.
Robert Downey Jr. just talks everyone into doing it.
It could be how it works, man. Oh, anyway, yes, but but it's, you know, from what they're saying about that, it sounds like there are going to be ramifications to this whole creating a fascist empire storyline.
He's going to feel really, really bad about it in the new book, you know.
Oh yeah, and no one wants to forgive him. Or maybe a lot of people are like, man, you betrayed us. We thought we were going to be fascists with you, and it's like, oh, you know, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be political. It's going to be crazy. But it sounds like he's traveling the country trying to find himself a nomad of some sort, like some sort of nomad for some reason. See, I would prefer if he was in the nomad costume. You know, and like his nomad costume with the big cape and the deep cut, you know. Yeah,
it might come eventually, because I think they say when Infinity War starts, Steve's not going to be in the Captain America suit. I think didn't they confirm that?
Yep.
Oh, in the movie, yeah. Well, yeah. Although I've seen stills of him in it.
Well, I'm sure it'll come back in that movie. You know.
Or they could do like what we suggested with Tony creating a set of dark events. And what if his Captain America is William Burnside? And then you can get Chris Evans to play him. You know, think about it. You get Ragnarok as your Thor. You still get Chris Hemsworth in there. You get William Burnside as Captain America. You still get to use your Chris Evans. You know.
I like our clone army. I like our clone army theory. You know, attack Thanos, Attack of the Clones. Because that's never been done.
Yes, no, a clones were not. Yeah, you know, for all my life, I always thought the Clone Wars was a war against clones. I actually thought that clones was a place. You know, I thought when they said the Clone Wars, it never struck me what they were fighting clones or clones were fighting. I actually thought it was like there was a place like Tatooine called Clone, and it was the Clone Wars. You know, that they were fighting. I was a kid back then, but that's what I always assumed that the Clone Wars was denoted the location, not who was fighting. Yeah.
It is kind of weird because it's like they were using clones, so it's like, you know, in any real war, if you said that was the gun war.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And they all use.
I always thought the clones were like the bad guys, but I guess in retrospect, thinking about it later, how the clones became stormtroopers, they kind of were the bad guys.
Yeah, well, and it's all because, but Loda, you go to use his future vision to put that DNA in them, and that's why they all can't shoot straight.
All right. I have to give you. Hold on. I got to get your opinion on this, Charlie. Did you see the other link I sent you? DC's gonna have their new Fantastic Foursome.
Oh my!
DC has a Fantastic Foursome.
Well, coming out of Dark Knight's Metal, they're gonna have Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, Phantom Girl, and Plastic Man.
Nice.
A team of 4, a genius scientist, a guy who can stretch, a woman who can go intangible. Sound familiar?
Yeah, they're like a little bit familiar. Yes.
It's like a poke at Marvel
concept.
Hey, they're like, hey, if you're not going to use the Fantastic Four, we can do it.
We can do it better.
Yeah, it's the Terrifics. Well, Plastic Man actually, his powers are not stretching. That is a misnomer about Plastic Man's powers. His power is reorganization of his molecules into any shape he so desires, which is often used for stretching. But you will see that he actually can turn himself into simple machines as well, just like the Impossible Man. So his power set is actually much, much greater than simply being a stretchy guy. He has powers. He has powers like the Impossible Man, or, as I've said, even though she doesn't realize her level of her powers, just like Ms. Marvel. Because she's not just a shapeshifter, she can alter her mass and density.
Wish I could alter my mass.
Yeah. I'm Catholic, so I have to get the Pope's permission before I alter mass.
You want to put the Agnus Dei before the... Yeah, okay. Yeah, that could be a problem.
Exactly. See, I can do puns too.
Woohoo!
See the title of the episode: Attack of the Puns.
The Pun War.
Yeah.
Dang it, Kelly, that's what I was about to say. I was like,
see, but I thought that meant we were having a war at a place called Pun.
I remember the War of Puns. It was brutal.
Oh,
I was once a
everywhere.
Jedi Knight. I fought with your father in the Pun War.
Oh, goodness. Anyway, so that's interesting. I mean, like I say, Marvel's not using the concept, so obviously it's fun with DC. I'm surprised they're not tying it into the Challengers of the Fantastic somehow, or I'm sorry, the Challengers of the Unknown. I know the Challengers of the Unknown they have something to do with the current Metal series with Batman. Like, was Hawkman like an original founder in a retcon of his own Challengers of the Unknown in searching for this crazy metal? I don't know. I only know about this because this was stuff that the Wait What guys were talking about on their podcast last week. So
yeah, the series isn't done, so they haven't laid out all the answers yet. But yeah, it seems like there's something big coming. I think with the multiverse and Hawkman's Nith Metal and
metal. Okay.
Metal. No.
Yeah, it's. Although I did like the Bat Metal cartoon. If you guys ever saw.
Oh, jeez.
That's funny. Batman is so ripe for parody because it is such a ludicrous concept that he takes so seriously. He is really a Dadaist superhero when you think about it.
Exactly.
Batman.
Exactly. Yeah.
But-
So there you
but,
go. Batman is a Dadaist superhero. No wonder he fights the Joker, who is more of a surrealist.
Nice segue, Charlie. Speaking of Batman, did everybody hear the big Batman news? I guess after the Justice League movie, Ben Affleck is gone from the DCEU.
Gracefully you know what? I'm not going to comment on that until I get an official announcement or I see, because there's reports on both sides. You know what? I'm just going to wait to even go with that discussion.
It could
Part
all
of it
just
was
be. Yeah, sorry.
No, I was like, part of it was because the rumor that they might do a Batman Beyond movie, and people were saying, "Oh, they're going to get rid of Affleck." You know what? He's in Justice League. I think he's contracted for one more film or something, but he could get whatever. I'm just going to wait and see. Okay, until I get a confirmation from Warner Brothers and Matt Reeves about where he's going, I don't really care.
They don't need him. You know why? Nightwing's coming.
Well, Nightwing's not here yet, though.
But he's coming.
Yes, that doesn't mean he'll be good.
Better be good.
Yeah, well, I'm sure people said that about all of the DC movies.
It's it's the age of Nightwing. They're making a movie. Who knows when that's coming out? But
just after Krypton.
Yeah, but now they're putting out that sometime in 2018 we're getting that Teen Titans show on DC's new digital platform.
Yep,
that will be fun.
Is that that's a live action Teen Titans, right?
Live action, yeah. They've confirmed Dick Grayson. They've confirmed
Beast Boy.
Was Beast Boy confirmed? But I know they said Starfire, Raven. Yeah, I thought I heard Beast Boy.
Hope they got some pretty young kids, because you know what happened with David on Gotham.
Oh yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, but the Teen Titans anymore seem like the young adult Titans.
Well, yeah, and honestly, you never know how big or small your kid will be when they're if you get them too young, then that's when you get those growth spurts, because they haven't gone to where you want them to be yet, and so you're kind of almost better to get older people that just look younger,
Yeah.
Tom Holland.
Go the David Boreanaz route, Although even he wound up, Yes.
Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Tom Holland. Well, he's under contract. I don't think he can do that.
What?
But no, I'm just saying, like,
he's under contract. He can't have any growth spurt.
No. He can't do Teen Titans.
No, that's what I mean. Like you said, that actor who looks really young, but
but he's
now.
actually, what is he? He's actually like 21 or something, I think.
He is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was still a teenager when they did Civil War, I believe.
Yep, he was 19.
Yeah, he was 19. So So and at that point he's gone. They know about where he's going to be. He's going to be a scrawny British guy, which works for Peter Parker. And he can mature a bit. If they have to, they can cut off his leg and give him a goatee and then do Spider-Girl.
Wow, that was really graphic.
Yes. That was the plot to Spider-Girl. Peter Parker loses his leg in a battle with the Green Goblin and then just says, you know what? I don't want to be a superhero anymore. I have had great power. I've done a lot of great responsibility. And now I'm one leg shy and I got a family to raise. So he goes off and raises his family. And that was sweet.
That was a good book.
Yeah, I liked it. Anyway.
But then on the DC side, they're kind of obvious because remember, Charlie, you're saying, "Oh, it can't be Dr. Manhattan who's behind this, whole DC Rebirth thing." That would be too obvious. Well,
I don't think I ever said it
confirmed.
can't.
DC is obvious.
Yeah, I think what I said is that's the obvious thing, but wouldn't it be great if it was something completely different? But yeah, and that's that was obvious and to be expected because he is not going to do. But no one ever really does a switcheroo. Although, I will say this: the one time we were actually right about anything was apparently with with the idea that Steve Rogers and the Red Skull were both trapped inside his mind.
Yes.
And now we see the Cosmic Cube is trapped inside his mind. When they're all fighting it out to see who will be the dominant personality. And of course, what happens at the end is Otto Octavius comes in and rewrites the brain, and now it's the truly superior Otto Octavius.
And who wins the Rubik's Cube?
Yes, there we go. Well, it's going to evolve and become the Beyonder, then go back in time.
Okay, John Byrne.
Yes.
And then it becomes Doctor Who.
Yeah, there you go. But Kobik is already on the process of evolution, and that's and as we know, we will see eventually, I'm sure, the 1940s Vision come back because he's supposed to be helping these cosmic cubes gain awareness and sentience. And interestingly enough, when you think about the tie into the Beyonders, the entire idea that there would be a society of advanced aliens whose job it is to help Beyonders evolve, it makes for a pretty interesting storyline. Especially since the Beyonders just had their whole try to destroy the universe thing recently. Like I said, and I say it all goes back to Owen Reese, who in the recent Ultimates we recently learned his plan was actually to convert the universe back to a single universe. Which of course is what the Beyonders said he was before he arrived, before Owen Reese let him go out. Brought him into the multiverse. So, it's an intro. I do think that there is going to be a lot of nice connections back into it when we get to it. But we'll have to see how
Super connections.
Oh, recorded Friday nights before Capes and Lunatics.
But yeah, the DC stuff. I mean, they announced the Doomsday Clock, which is going to be a 12-issue series starting in November. A lot of it's going to be focused on Dr. Manhattan versus Superman.
Okay.
And Superman first on in the room. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see how that's. I don't know. That just seems weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
Superman versus that. I mean, honestly, I don't even. The problem with Dr. Manhattan is that he is, he lives at all points in his own life. Mm-hmm. So every fight he has, he knows if he wins or loses. Except, actually, no. There was the one difference was that that he could not see. Okay, so I guess because he could not see past the that moment in time. Although I've always said my theory is that in the future he rips his own eyes out, and that's what causes him to not be able to see the future because he got tired of always knowing the future, so he rips his own eyes out. And
but I mean,
that actually future Dr. Manhattan is trying to battle old Dr. Manhattan in a quantum entanglement wrestling match.
Well, I mean, they're just doing Superman for the name recognition because I mean,
who would go see Dr. Manhattan?
Well, I mean, Dr. Manhattan was like basically based on the character of Captain Atom, but so it really should probably be Dr. Manhattan versus Captain Atom, but I guess they're like, we'll get more mileage out of Dr. Manhattan versus Superman.
Right.
Yeah. Well, but like I said, during the war or during the when they get in the final crisis, when they gathered the army of Superman, they had the Quantum Superman, who was Dr. Manhattan with an S on his chest, So, and of course, Captain Atom was, of course, Charlton Comics, Superman pastiche himself. So it makes sense that they would battle. It's just creating a different way to have him be, it's just Superman versus Superman. The thing of it will be is if we're going to see that, if Superman's supercharged physiognomy like makes him, gives him some level of invulnerability to Dr. Manhattan's, quantum mechanical powers. So actually, what would be a more interesting fight is would be Dr. Manhattan versus Firestorm. Because Firestorm has quantum mechanical powers. Firestorm can do transmutation of matter and energy. So, that would be interesting. But we'll see how Superman goes. But if he's gonna fight Dr. Manhattan, because I would like if they just sat down and talked it over. Always with the punching. Always why don't we just punch the problem? If we punch the problem in the face, maybe it'll go away.
But I think they figure, if they're talking about it, people will think it's, as exciting as Congress.
Yes.
Fake news. Fake news.
There was a great. It was a what if book, but it was all like joke what ifs, and there was this great bit where it was supposed to be like what if because Marvel had just released like some kids like comics that were like really geared for kids, and then but what if they did that but in the other way, and it was like intellectual comics, and it was Spider-Man versus the Mad Thinker, and they just sit and they're just discussing the nature of superheroism and battle, and what will the outcome of this. Honestly, I thought it was a great read. But the Watcher yawned and said, "This is boring," and turned the page. But yes, but I would read. I would read the Mad Thing. I would read Dr. Manhattan and Superman sitting down, playing chess, talking about what it means to be a god among men. And what is our role as God?
I want to chime in real quick here. I had to go take care of the baby. The whole Dr. Manhattan thing, I feel like they drug it out too long. Like they introduced the concept at the end of the Dark Side Wars, and then they did Rebirth, and then here it's been already over a year, and they did the Button, and it's like it should have been right up front.
And now the Doomsday Clock series is going to be another year.
It's just like I feel like that should have been kicked off, and we should have gotten that within the first year of Rebirth. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like Rebirth.
Here's the thing. Okay.
But
I'll compare it to. Oh no, it was so doing these things. Were you getting other exciting stories as well?
We were,
Okay.
And I mean, especially like, was it the whole Superman? Did he have to be put back together before we could get Dr. Manhattan's story?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I assume you have to. One of the things that with regard to the entire Secret Empire, the Secret Empire arc and also the Secret Invasion arc and all these big arcs, they actually start earlier than we think over at Marvel. The difference, I think the difference is that maybe DC sort of wasn't subtle enough in their laying their groundworks, and so you expected it to have that resolution a bit faster. But it's not uncommon in the comic books world that these stories are years in the making, because it starts with laying these groundworks for these characters' outcome. I think like I said, I mean, the whole idea of the evolution of cosmic cubes and Kobix, like, were first mentioned like back in the early 2000s, all leading up to Secret Empire, and all through Secret Invasion, all through everything with these other arcs, like the entire destruction of the Marvel Universe and the new Secret Wars and all that stuff, all have pieces that tie into the Secret Empire that get paid off once you get to Secret Empire. And at any point during it, you can see a great arc in a story, but this next story has things that predate that too, and things from this one have things that predate it too. That's the tying in of comics. The problem for it taking so long is that you've just been anticipating it so long.
True.
So so it does take a while, but so long as they're giving you good stories in between and everything is tying together and paying off, then I think it's okay.
Still waiting to find out my 3 Jokers.
Oh yeah.
I told you, Joker and the 3 Jokers are going to be Joker, Riddler, and a third party to be named at the end of the War of Jokes and Riddles. So
we'll see.
Probably King Tut. It's going to be King Tut.
The Trickster. It'll be the Trickster.
No, you know why it'd be King Tut? Let me give you, because King Tut is the guy who keeps on getting hit on the head and then just walks away scot-free. Because it's like, oh no, I'm an Egyptologist. Supervillainy, what made me do that? It was simple bump on the noggin. And now I'm back to being me. Sort of like Norman Osborn. It's like, oh, I'm not the Goblin anymore. And it's just this idea that the character has pulled that off so many times in his story arc that, it makes me think, wait a minute. If anyone's playing a joke on us, it might be King Tut, Just the fact that getting hit on the head doesn't necessarily turn you into a supervillain, and getting hit on the head again doesn't turn you back. That should have been obvious.
It's multiverse stuff. I'm telling you, it's different versions of the Joker. But Charlie, I don't know if you saw this. You might be.
But then there'd be more than 3. That's my thing. It's like if you only say there's 3 Jokers, you immediately limit it. So okay.
There was unless it's multi Jokers all on the same Earth. Like I think they switch Earth in
and out. Yeah.
But that may be the case.
Charlie, there's other DC news you might be interested in. They announced that Grant Morrison's putting out Earth Wonder Woman Earth 1 number 2 volume 2, which is probably going to be good. But the thing you might be interested in, Charlie, is they're doing a sequel to his original Arkham Asylum story where Batman had to go in and face all his enemies in Arkham Asylum. This one's set in the future, and it's going to be Damian Wayne as Batman.
Oh, well, that'll be interesting. I wonder how that kid turned out. And why they're still putting people in Arkham. You know, it's like
it seems like a failed system.
Healthcare's not good in the future either.
Yeah, nobody figures out that, we probably shouldn't put all our criminal eggs in one basket. The Phantom Zone, Arkham, kind of not a good idea.
Probably not. Yeah, that'll be interesting, I don't know what to make of Damian Wayne until we see him, Like I said, I've really soured on Damian Wayne because he just got kind of annoying. He doesn't, it's just like he just this whiny little kid now, and it's like when they first introduced him, he had like a whole when I say first introduced, I mean the first time I really read of him was in that Teen Titans and Super Sons, where you did have this neat what's what I'm looking for? You saw that there was so much baggage in him, that he was this guy, he was an apex guy, but you could see there was all these daddy issues, all this sorrow, all this worry. And then now they just, but it's like you have to reveal that, you have to have him have that growth as he starts having interactions with people. You can't have him go back to being a whiny brat again. You've got to have the character evolve. And that's the problem, is I don't see that evolution happening. And, as far as stories taking too long, I mean, that's a story that took too long. I gave it a couple issues, but if you don't hook me, I got to say, okay.
Yeah, Super Sons, me and Lilith were talking about that. I mean, it just seems like, by the time they get anywhere, they're all, him and Superman's son are all like, they keep arguing.
And Superman was kind of preachy this week too, so I was like, okay.
Oh, the red ship?
Yes. Yeah, it's like yeah. I mean, it was a nice educational comic book, I guess, but it was just like, it didn't give me much. And also, I'm wondering, how are they affording to rent this giant RV? It's like, really, where are these people getting this money? She's a reporter, ostensibly a farmer. I mean, and farmers can make decent money. And it certainly doesn't waste any money on farm hands.
I like to pretend that that they just has a couple patents on some products.
Hey,
from his kryptonite tech.
Hey, the man can crush coal into diamonds. Hey, you're never without money.
Or maybe he borrowed the one from Spaceballs.
Clark, we need money again. Hold on. All right, done.
Yeah, Yeah, so that works. That works. I just would like that to be canonical. I would like it's like Bruce Wayne being a billionaire or a trillionaire is fine, because it's canonical. And he's gotten richer the bigger his toys have gotten. Superman officially should have the same kind of financial issues that Peter Parker does. But no, just never wants. Now granted, he probably doesn't need to eat or even have a house. So it is what it is. It is what it is.
I'm like, how about this? How about Superman? Something they could have written into the comics is the Kent farm is very successful, and he just gets a royalty from his farm that he has people that run it for him.
There's oil on the farm. Oil and gas, got mineral rights. There you go.
Oh, sure. And all that would be great canonical stuff if it was there.
We're talking Superman here. I want to get your feedback here. Did you guys see that they announced the lineup for all the next DC animated films?
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about that. They mentioned that they're going to do one for the Death of Superman and one for the Reign of the Supermen, which they kind of did in one.
Did they Death of the Superman?
They did.
We got Superman Doomsday as the first one they ever did, and it was loosely based off the Death of Superman. But now they're going to do a two-parter, like they did with the Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight Returns. Sorry, and they're going to do the Death of Superman in the first one. And then the second volume 2 is going to be the Return and the Reign of the Superman.
Okay.
So, at first I was kind of like, what? And then I was like, you know what? I didn't like the way they had done Superman Doomsday.
I mean, they kind of tried to shoehorn in the death and the return of Superman within like, what was it, a 75-minute movie?
Yep. And so I like the idea of the Reign of the Superman. Just to see how that plays out, So yeah. I'm intrigued by that.
And who's playing Superman?
They haven't announced cast yet.
Come on, Patrick Warburton. Speaking of Patrick Warburton, he played Superman in the Jerry
Seinfeld.
Yes, I know. So here's my thing. I started watching a series of unfortunate events on Netflix.
Yeah.
And that is so fantastic. I have to get that book for Ben now because I think he might even enjoy it. But it is such a good series. It is so enjoyable.
Did you say that's on Netflix?
Yeah.
That's on Netflix. It's with
Neil Patrick
Harris as Count Olaf. Their closest relative, physically, he was the closest relative there. It was so beautifully written, and I've only gotten through the first 2 episodes of it, but it is such a great series. I can't wait to see where it goes, and really glad that Netflix suggested it for me. And it surprises me. I don't know what kind of budget they got on that, but it is shot beautifully.
Yes, it is. It's Barry Sonnenfeld doing it.
Yeah, it is. It is such a beautiful. I mean, it's like a physically beautiful show to watch, and it's such perfect deadpan humor and fantastic writing. So yeah, I'm big. It's one of these things like how do we not have a podcast on this show? Yeah, it's a series of unfortunate podcasts. There we go.
I've heard good things about it. I mean, I should give it a look.
I watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Now, going to an announcement, we're all about comics, but something we haven't talked about. Did you see that it's officially been announced that we're getting a Spawn reboot film?
Yes, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, Todd McFarlane's been teasing that for the last couple of years, but yeah, and I guess it's finally official.
He got Blumhouse to produce, who's known for horror. McFarlane's writing and directing it.
Mm-hmm. But who's playing the clown?
Just not John Leguizamo. He's not doing anything.
Yeah, I thought he was good as the clown. I don't know.
They could honestly get. They could get what's his name back, Michael Jai White.
Yeah.
No, No, we need Idris Elba. That man can play anything. Sela doesn't like that casting.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll go with Idris Elba. Idris Elba's good in anything,
Exactly.
And the man is the king of genre fiction at the moment. Still would have made a good doctor if they could afford him.
Very true.
Yeah. Although, I got so mad. I was actually excited to talk about the new Doctor. Not that we have much going about her, because all we know is that it's a doctor and it's a female. Oh, but another Doctor news. I heard that Jenny is getting the Doctor Who's female clone is also getting a spin-off series now.
Nice.
Yes, who was one of the other Time Lords from the current.
The iPad?
One of the other, because she was the clone of Doctor Who. It's actually, which Doctor is she the daughter of? She's actually like, what is her name? Not Colin. The one that was after Colin. The one with the cricket jacket. What was his name?
I can't think, but I know. Isn't she married to David Tennant?
Yeah, it's David Tennant's wife. And
who was the doctor's daughter?
Yeah.
Tom Baker?
Yes.
Yes.
Was it Tom Baker?
Yes. No, not Tom Baker. No.
All right, he's the one.
No, it was the one. Yeah, it was the one after Tom Baker, I believe. Yeah, it was the one after Tom Baker, before the one with the yellow afro. Yes, but that is, and David Tennant married his daughter, and then she became a character in the show, and now she's getting a spinoff. So yay, more Time Lords. But now all the Time Lords are ladies. It's like we still can't have more Time Lords.
Oh, I'm sure we will, because they're going to run into other Time Lords along the way, and I think it's going to be interesting though to see what the companions are like now.
Oh yeah, well, it's going to be interesting if they explore that, companion falls in love with the Doctor and how that's going to play out.
Right. Well, and yeah. Did you see Alex Kingston's reaction to? Because that's an interesting dynamic too, considering that she's the Doctor's wife.
Oh yes. What was her? What was
she
her
was
reaction?
just tickled to death. She actually found out on stage at a con.
Yes.
That was very fun. The announcement was made during her panel.
That'll be. Here will be interesting is if she ever met the female Doctor.
Right. Exactly.
Because of course they do have that weird time thing. Because now officially she is dead, although she still was alive before then. And,
right.
Yeah, they're time cross lovers. It's always fun, and still want to see her regenerate too. I know she supposedly used up all her regenerations, but we have seen from the Doctor accidentally regenerating the entire Dalek race after destroying them that apparently
it's possible.
Regeneration energy seems to be somewhat like infinite now, I guess. I'm just going to give you a little bit of regeneration. And it's like, that was enough. Now we can, because, it's like 1% of 1% of infinity is still infinity. Now all the but of course theoretically now doesn't that mean that now all the Daleks can regenerate forever? And I don't know. I think that there's a big problem logistically with all those Daleks, but we're gonna see how it goes.
All right. Anyone have anything else, or should we wrap this up soon?
I think that's all for now, and there'll be more later.
Oh, there's tons of news this week.
I was going to say, if we get more news tonight, some of us might jump back on tonight. So,
are you serious? We have Marvel presenting. We have, what do you call it? DC is going to be presenting.
I always wonder if Marvel, if they're totally committed to Comic-Con anymore because they have Disney's D23 and they save a lot of their stuff for that.
That was my thing. Is I thought they were done with Comic-Con, because they didn't last year. Because now they do D23.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what it might. They may be doing more book announcements at Comic-Con, because it is an actual comic book convention.
Comic-Con.
Yeah,
what?
Exactly.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they do
comics at a convention.
Yes, a whole convention. It's like the Shriners, but with better costumes.
In 2011, Marvel had the biggest booth in the place. They had all the Iron Man suits on display there. It was cool.
Yeah. So I would imagine they're going to do So I imagine if we get stuff from Marvel, it's not going to be about the movies. It's going to be about the books because it all goes back to the books.
That's right.
No, it'll be the Infinity War trailer just to show up DC.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, because they got stoned.
All right, let's cut it there. Like I said, we might be back tonight, so keep an eye on Capes and Lunatics YouTube page, and if you're listening on the podcast, if we do more, I think we'll just tack it on here. All right.
And remember, hit the bell so that you get notified every time we post one of these.
That's right. Hit the bell so you're notified every time.
Woot woot.
All right. All right. What, you like that?
I loved as he dumped out all the Legos. That was perfect.
It's all good.
All right, let's get out of here so Tyler can clean up. Special guest Kelly, thank you for joining us.
You're so welcome.
Where can people find your wisdom and your puns and?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and just about everywhere else at Super Squint. That's SuperSquint.
All right, Super Dad Tyler.
You can find me pretty much everywhere at JTY Patrick. You can see on the bottom under my name. Just keep it simple and keep it on the Krypton Report podcast. You can find me there as well.
All right. The man with all the answers, Mr. Esser, the Professor Charlie Esser.
Yes, and unfortunately, I do not have any fancy chroma keys on mine. But you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on that Twitter as I live tweet something, probably Inhumans, one of these days. Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
Yeah, look for this week's Super Connectivity for Charlie's thoughts on Inhumans. All right, and
Still gotta watch it.
Yeah, Capes and Lunatics, contact us. capesandlunatics@gmail.com. Facebook is facebook.com. Capes and Lunatics. Yeah. Twitter,
Cue cards.
Instagram, Pinterest, and it's a voicemail, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And if you want to do an interview or whatever, contact me, nightlingtv@gmail.com. On Twitter, I am @nightlingtv. All right. Like I said, we may return today with more Comic-Con stuff. But until then, this has been the Capes.
And
The Lunatics. And the babies.
And the dogs.
And the Kelly.
Woohoo!
the Fun Master General.
Fastest gunslinger in the Midwest.